It's estimated that air pollution causes 13,000 deaths in Uganda every year, according to the National Environmental Management Authority 2024 reports. And this is the agency that is whose responsibility is to ensure that no one dies because of air pollution in Uganda. So welcome Stalking Science Africa, a show where we bring you science and researchers to share what they are doing to ensure that we live in a better world. Today we are pleased to host Dr. Akankwasa Barirega, who is the Executive Director of the National Environmental Management Authority. He is an environmentalist, but also sitting in this job to ensure that we live in a better environment. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
For me, I'm worried that you are supposed to ensure that no one dies because of air pollution in Uganda, and we see that people are actually dying of air pollution. Shouldn't we say that you are failing at the job?
Well, unless you say God is failing, because it's God who is responsible for death and living, so there is no person who can guarantee that nobody will die. That's a work of God. We are supposed to ensure that Ugandans live in a clean and healthy environment. That's the assurance we have for people. We can't guarantee that nobody will not die. That's only God. Nobody can guarantee that. It's only God who can guarantee that. But of course, it's true what you've said, that air pollution can contribute to causes of death. And world over, it is estimated that air pollution is associated with about 7 million deaths per year in the world. And the global average for Africa is about 7,000 deaths. And certainly Uganda is part of Africa and part of the world. So it's true, pollution affects especially the young prematures. Pollution is responsible for a big number of premature death, according to science, and certainly Uganda, we are part of the rest of the world, and we do share those deaths associated with air pollution. But our duty is to ensure that we address causes of air pollution so that we don't lose people. We don't have those deaths. And what are the causes? In Uganda, the biggest cause of air pollution is burning of biomass. You and me cooking on the 3-stone kitchen using firewood. It is the biggest cause of air pollution in Uganda. Burning of biomass, of course, associated also with open burning of waste. It's a very, very big problem. And then it's followed by transport. Unpaved roads are responsible for a lot of particulate matter in terms of dust. This is number 2 in Uganda, transport sector. So transport comes in 2 ways: roads as well as automobile emissions. Those are the 2 main contributors. Then the third is industries. Industries is the third cause of air pollution. So as you can see, burning of biomass, transport, industries, that one we can control because there is technology now which you can put to filter emissions in industry before they are released. But burning of biomass, we must change our sources of energy. We go into clean cooking, for example, use of briquettes and improved cooking energy saving stoves for low cost or not very rich people. For rich people, they should cook on electricity. For mid-range, who can afford gas, cooking on gas, but also harvesting of biogas by farmers. People who have cows, people who have goats, you can actually generate biogas. You can also generate biogas from organic waste. So biogas is better cooking as opposed to use of firewood, especially in the kitchens which are not ventilated. So that's our biggest source of pollution. So we must address immediately three things. Cooking using biomass, open burning of waste, we need to stop it because it's achievable. And then we use that waste to generate biogas and fertilizer so that we have added value. You've solved not only pollution, but you've also generated cleaner energy. So we must stop open burning of waste. Transport, we are already working with the Ministry of Works and Transport, as you are aware, to reintroduce vehicle annual inspections, and part of the parameters which will be looked at under that arrangement will be emissions. Emissions will be part of it, plus other things that make a car roadworthy. But emissions will be one of the components that will be measured. You are aware Uganda has reduced the age of the vehicles which can come into Uganda. Initially it was open. You would bring any age. This was capped to 15 years, then later reduced to 8 years. So we've been progressing. We should reach a point where we say maybe 5 years, 3 years, and eventually brand new only. But this is a gradual process because you look at the economy. If you said everyone should drive a new car, we may get more death from that decision than the death you are trying to prevent from air pollution. Because we are not yet there. We are entering the first phase of lower middle income status. So we may not afford all of us driving new cars, but we can strive to reduce old age vehicles on our road. Those which are there, we strengthen their maintenance, because when you regularly maintain your vehicle, the emissions reduce slightly. For industries, we are already moving. All industries are now required to install air quality monitoring devices, and we have a partnership with Airco now. They have low-cost sensors, while they may not be 100% accurate, but they are reasonable enough to predict the state of air pollution on a point, in a place. So we are requiring each industry to install sensors so that when we come to measure, they are already doing self-regulation, and they can compare their readings with our air quality readings, because we have air quality monitoring devices. When we go to inspect an industry, we sample at random the air, and then we compare. But we want now the industries to continuously monitor their own emissions, but their readings will be sending data into our central database. So for industries, the technology is there. Wet scrubbing, there is precipitators, electrostatic precipitators. There are many methods you can use to filter the air before you release it into the atmosphere. And for industries, we are already up and running, and we routinely inspect them to ensure that they are within the air quality standards for Uganda.
Apart from the talking, how many industries actually in Uganda have installed air quality machines?
This process has started this year, so it's not a very old thing. Previously, we did not have air quality standards as a country. So our first air quality standards came out last year, 2024. So it's not an old thing. Uganda has not had any air quality standards. Our first air quality standards and regulations came out in 2024 last year. So we are fairly still new in the area, and we are progressively moving forward.
So you have no number of how many industries actually have air quality monitors right now?
I need to check, but they are not many yet. They are not many yet.
And interestingly, you are talking about carbon emission that comes from cars. In layman's language, how are you going to be monitoring this?
When you go for a vehicle inspection, there is a program by Ministry of Works which will be rolled out. We shall give a grace period of 1 to 2 years. We are still discussing. So when you take your vehicle for annual inspection, part of the things they will measure is if your car is moving or your car is stationary but the engine is on. How much emissions are you releasing and what type? Are you releasing carbon? Are you releasing SOx or sulfur oxides? Are you releasing, So they will evaluate the quality of the exhaust emissions of your car. If they find they are above the standards, then you will have failed the test.
The car is arrested.
The car is not passed, and you can be charged. That's one way. But we want to be proactive. The regulations of 2024 have banned certain types of engines from being on our roads. So we shall start with the Euro 4 engines and above. Of course, most countries already even passed Euro 4 engine standards. But for us, we shall start at Euro 4 standard. These are engines which are efficient in burning of fuel, and so you have lesser emissions from the exhaust pipes. The older the car, the more bad the emissions are. The newer the car, the better the technology for burning fuel, and therefore the less the emissions. For example, I can give you an example. A two-stroke boda engine may emit as bad as a bus, yet the other one is a boda. But because the efficiency of burning of the fuel is too low, less fuel is burnt, and therefore you release most of the emissions from unburnt fuel. So the engine quality and type matters. So we want to be proactive. We first stop importation of certain engines which are below standard, and then those which are already in the country, we ensure that they are well maintained, and at a certain age, we weed them out on our roads. But this is going to be progressive to avoid disruptions of the economy. It is not going to be a one-day event. It is going to be a progressive movement from better engines to best engines as we phase out the bad engines. It will be a phased approach. But you also, government has invested in e-mobility transformation. You've heard about Kayora Bus. Chira Motor Corporation is a flagship project of government to clean and green transport sector. So borders will be electric, boats will be electric, buses will be electric. Kayora buses are already on the street. So we are taking a two-pronged approach. One, limiting the quality of engines that come on our road, but also replacing fossil fuel-based engines with electric engines made in Uganda. So we should be proud that Uganda is part of the leaders in greening transport sector in the world, not only in Africa. In the world, in Africa, automatically we are in a comfortable lead in e-mobility. Do you know of any other country which makes vehicles in Africa that are purely made in that country? I'm not aware.
The question also
others have assembling points where they assemble Toyota, they assemble Benz. So Uganda is the only country which makes original cars in Africa, made in Uganda.
In court.
Kayora is purely made in Uganda. It's not an assembly of another brand. It is made in Uganda. So yes, it's a journey, but the journey we have started.
But Doctor, talking about Kayora buses, it's good, they are electric buses actually. But if you produce 10, 15, 20 buses in a year, what difference can that make in a country where you import more than, I think, 5,000, 10,000 vehicles?
No, the plant, Chiramoto Corporation plant, phase 1 is complete, so the number of pieces are going to increase, and there is even phase 2, full commercialization, where you can manufacture as many as you want. The manufacturing rate is low because the market is still low. We are still starting. But once the regional demand increases, the production capacity will be enhanced. There is no cap on the capacity. Yeah.
Back to the air quality monitor. So when I was preparing for this interview, I looked at the air quality monitors in Kampala and across the country of where AirCo gets its data. And when you look at them, either today or tomorrow or 2 weeks ago, you'll see that the air quality across the country is not good. How long are we going to be in the
Not across the country. It's not true. The average air quality for Uganda now, according to National State of Environment Report 2024, the current average of the country is 13 grams per cubic meter of particulate matter 2.5.
What does that mean in layman's language?
So in a layman's language, we have particles that are suspended in the air. So some particles are big, others are small. So the smallest particles, what we call particulate matter 2.5, is the smallest particles that are suspended in the air. When you inhale air with those particles go into the lungs and they create health associated problems, and that's really the cause of what we call death attributed to air pollution. So particulate matter is not the only measure of air quality, but is considered the best measure now. But the total air quality, you look at so many things. You look at NOx, what we call NOx or nitrous oxides. You look at SOx or sulfur oxides. You look at organic compounds. You look at carbon dioxide. So the parameters are many. But the single parameter which we now currently use is particulate matter. Now, 13 grams per cubic meter is our national average. Now, WHO has standard bands, 4 of them. The first band is 5, the second band is 10, the third band is 15, the fourth band is 20, the fifth is 35 actually. So, from 35 and below, you are considered on track. You are considered to be on track. Because WHO has established what we call mid-term targets as we transition to the ultimate target. The ultimate target for air quality is 5 grams per cubic meter. That's the ultimate. No country in the world has attained that. No single country. So Uganda, we are at 13 grams per cubic meter. So we are in we are almost going into the second band, because the second band is 10, the third band is 15, ultimate is 5, which no country in the world has attained. So our air quality is generally ranked as good. From good you go to moderate, from moderate you go to bad. From bad you go to, you know, hazardous, there are bands. So ours, we are in the range of good. We are in the range of good. So it's not true that we have bad air quality. The readings you see, I see on CNN, for example, putting Kampala, putting Kinshasa, putting Beijing and other countries, they base on point source readings. For example, for a long time in Uganda, only the US Embassy had an air sensor, air quality sensor. So they would pick now 1 point and then generalize it for the country. So those figures are not correct. They are not correct. And you can check this out yourself. If you go to the countryside where the area is green, the air is good. If you go to a national park, the air is good. You know that 16% of our country is protected land. We have forests, we have wetlands, we have national parks, wildlife reserves. This is pristine environment where air quality is perfectly good. So it's only a few points, most especially in urban areas, especially slum areas, and where the roads are not tarmacked and where there is a lot of traffic flow, like central business district, where the air quality sometimes go to bad, unhealthy segment. Sometimes it reaches there, especially Chisenyi. The readings for Chisenyi sometimes go to unhealthy condition. Sometimes it goes to moderate, where you may need to put on a mask or avoid going there. So we have points which have high readings because of the traffic flow, because of the nature of roads mainly. But those are point sources. They can't be extrapolated to say Uganda's air quality is bad. No, Uganda's air quality is good, except that in some urban areas, because of heavy traffic, because of dusty roads and constructions, because of open burning of waste, which is wrong, and sometimes also industrial release, industrial emissions. So sometimes the readings can move from good to moderate or even to bad. But this is occasional. You know, the readings change every minute, depending on the temperature, depending on the weather if, for example, if it rains, it may improve immediately. You will see improved air quality. So it depends on when you've taken the readings and the general environment around it. And the point can be bad now, and in the afternoon the reading is good. So those are point source readings and cannot be used to generalize for the whole country. The overall picture for the country is 13 grams per cubic meter, no, micrograms per cubic meter, and it is considered good.
So for you, okay, actually, for you, how do you actually extrapolate that reading?
Because this is a national average based on satellite data triangulated with the source point readings. So you get the whole picture of a country and then triangulate with point source. The point source readings, we don't have many now. KCA has a few sensors. We also have sensors, including on this very building of NEMA, there are sensors. In partnership with AirCo, there are sensors now in other regions. Mbarara has been brought on board, Jinja, and we are expanding further to have all urban areas at least fixed with sensors. So the network of sensors is still very, very, very small, and we therefore cannot rely on point sensors to extrapolate. But we can use those sensors to tell the nature or state of air pollution in that point where the sensor is. But when our network of sensors grows and we have sensors everywhere, it will be very easy now to get the average from sensors, which will give you a correct picture. For now, you will get the average of Katwe, of Muyenga, of Nsambia. So where is Nakapiripiriti in that? Where is Amadat? Where is Kanungu? Where is Kidepo? So you can't triangulate that because you are reading from areas which are potentially polluted. We do not have sensors in areas which are not polluted. So you can't use the census average to give a picture of Uganda. That would be erroneous.
Okay, that's convincing a bit.
It should not be a bit. It should be 100%.
Okay, so the other thing that I learned when I looked at when reading the Air Core maps and their data is NEMA has a different air quality standard figure, which is different from that of the World Health Organization. The one that is set by NEMA is a bit higher than that of the World Health Organization. How did you arrive at this?
You see, like I told you, World Health Organization has bands. It has the ultimate, which is human health impact free, is 5. That's an ideal environment. But we never live in an ideal environment. Like I told you, not even developed countries have attained that. Why? They have industries, they have vehicles, they cook. So there is no way you can have air which is perfect. Air which is perfect would mean there is no activity of development, there are no industries, there are no vehicles. So that's a perfect expectation. But we never live in a perfect world. So different countries set different standards, but within the framework of WHO. Because the WHO framework doesn't have only 5. It has bands. So for developing countries, you can start from 35 and work progressively to go downwards. So we cannot start from where nobody has reached. That would be far-fetched. We would be deceiving ourselves. So we start from a realistic point and then work towards improving. So it's not that our standards are different from WHO, no. They are within the WHO framework. But WHO is a guide according to the health impacts. But you can't use WHO, for example, to prosecute someone. You must use standards set by law of that country to prosecute someone. So that's why Uganda must set standards. For a long time, we are depending on East African community standards. WHO standards came and they informed the review. So every country has its own standards. But they are all benchmarked on WHO standards. So ultimately, when the country becomes, when the world stops having pollution, maybe we shall have a uniform standard. For now, each country has their own standard, and so Uganda must have its own standard, which is safe for human health, but also realistic of our state of development.